Hey everybody. Ben, what's going on? Ben Ramsey, good to see you, buddy. Hey, we're going to get started here in just a moment. I'm going to give everybody a few more seconds to hop on the call today. We're going to be talking about four things that could potentially get in the way of your success for 2025. See, we have some folks popping in here. Richard, welcome. Tony, good to see you. Tommy, what's going on, guys? Hey, if you don't mind, hopefully you guys can see the chat feature. If you're on your desktop, it should be to the right side. If you're on your mobile device, it's probably at the bottom. Feel free to utilize this chat box. We'd love to know where you guys are all joining us live from. You never know who's in your neck of the woods or who's doing deals in your neck of the woods. It's funny because we've actually had some wholesale deals happen within our Storage Rebellion universities simply by having people drop it in the chat, where are you guys located? And you just never know, and people connect that way. And so let's see who else we got. Christopher, welcome. Yeah, we got a few of you guys joining us. Cool. So happy Friday. Hope you guys had a great week. I thought it'd be cool to hop on. I haven't done a Friday live maybe in a few weeks, and so maybe it's been a little longer than that, but wanted to hop on and talk about some things that I've been working on for quite a while, and it's something that I continue to work on. And as we always approach the new year, people are wondering, like, am I on the right path? Am I focusing on the right things? And so hopefully today's conversation can help you guys with that. And I want to identify four things that I believe can really slow you down, if not get in the way of your success. Michigan, Texas, North Houston, cool. Marcos Island, beautiful. Ben, must be nice in Marcos Island right now. I'm in Rochester. It's snowing. We probably got a foot and a half, maybe a little less than that of snow today, and I still have to do my driveway, but Marco Island sounds pretty nice. But guys, let's do this. Let's go ahead and dive into the content for today. We'll only be here for about 15 or 20 minutes. Hopefully you guys can hang out for a little bit, settle in. And if you guys have questions about the conversation today, drop them in the chat. I'm also always available afterwards. So if you guys want to connect, or if it would be helpful to schedule a call, I can look into potentially doing that as well. But let's dive into it. So four things that could get in the way of your success in 2025 or dramatically slow you down. Okay, and these are four things that I've worked on for quite a while, and these really stood out to me, and so I wanted to share them with you. The first one, maybe you guys have heard me talk in the past about the seeds that you sow and reaping a harvest from the seeds that you sow. And this is actually a little bit of scripture, but I always found this to be really powerful, and I think there's many lessons embedded into this verse about the seeds that you sow, but there's two that stick out to me, and I want to share with you what they are and then how they really apply to your life and your business. When we talk about reaping a harvest and planting the right seeds, right? So we reap a harvest based on the seeds that we sow, and so the first one that comes to mind, or a lesson that comes to mind out of this, is environment. For an example, if I gave you a seed to sow and you put it on the concrete and you watered it every day, and after a year you're like, Chris, I'm doing the work, I'm showing up, I'm watering this seed every single day, it's not going to grow, right? It's not going to reach its potential because it's in the wrong environment. And I think oftentimes we put ourselves, because maybe some of you on the call have felt this way, but there's folks who they kind of want to just go out and figure it all out on their own, and that's okay, and you can do that, but there will come a time and a period where you've kind of maxed out all that you know how to do, and that's generally a time for you to elevate your environment and get yourself into an environment where you can accelerate, you can learn new things, get access to new resources, and just see what other people are doing. This can help you move so much faster and be so much more effective. In fact, I had a great conversation with Scott Spear earlier this week. He's a fellow Storage Rebellion Insiders, and Scott has never missed an Insiders event, and he said, I don't plan on missing a single retreat unless I'm sick or a family member is sick. And we were talking about, because Scott has done 30 plus deals at this point, he's doing really well. And he says, I basically know pretty much all I need to know about storage in order to be successful in storage. And I was like, well, what keeps you hanging around the community? He said, well, one of the biggest reasons for it is the people. He said, I learned so many different things based on the ways other people do things. And it allows me to see things from a different perspective, which allows me to move faster. And he said, I actually had a conversation, maybe this was 2 retreats ago. I believe it was maybe with Ken Holmes. This is after hours conversations, right? At the fire pit, having a couple drinks. And he said, based on the conversation I had with Ken, it saved me $60,000 simply just by Ken showing Scott how to look at a problem he was facing and see it from a different angle, which in return ended up saving him $60,000. He said, these are the types of reasons why I like to surround myself with high achievers and put myself in the right environment with the right people. And so, if this isn't something you're doing, this is something you need to do if you want to move faster and really achieve the level of success that you're after. And if you're the type of person who likes to go out and do it all on their own, that's cool, do that. But recognize when you get to a point where you feel like you're just hitting a wall, that's generally a sign that you need to up your environment and kind of up your game and get yourself surrounded with the right people. So environment, that's really important. Number 2, what's another lesson out of the seeds that you sow? Well, we reap a harvest based on the seeds that we sow. So the question is, what seeds are you sowing? And oftentimes, we might not just be doing the right stuff. And it doesn't matter how hard you work. If you're working on the wrong stuff, you're still going to end up in the same position. And this is, I think, where some people get frustrated. They feel like they're grinding out. They feel like they're doing the work, they're putting in the effort, but they don't see the finish line getting any closer. This could be a time to reevaluate what it is that you're doing. And, if you maybe take a day or two to step back from the normal task that you do that is related to your storage pursuit. So don't do any calls, don't send any letters, don't look for any deals 1 day or 2 days, and just take a day to reflect on what it is you're doing and ask yourself, is this moving the needle forward? Like, am I doing the right things? Am I being as efficient as possible? Am I focusing on the right areas? And just dive into it, because oftentimes we like to put ourselves into or maybe on a path that has the least amount of resistance. And we oftentimes kind of avoid the things that we don't want to do. And that leads me to lesson number 2 here, which I'll dive into. I one time heard Myron Golden talk about, he said, to be rich, it just requires one thing, and that's intention. If you want to be rich, just be intentional about what you're doing. Furthermore, if you want to be broke, that requires one thing, and that is neglect. And so what might you be neglecting or avoiding in your life or on your journey, your storage journey? What might you be avoiding that's getting in the way of you reaching your full potential? There's a quote that I love that says, the magic you're looking for is in the work you're avoiding. So some of you guys might be sending out a bunch of letters and you're not seeing many results come from that. And the truth is, you do letters because you're just uncomfortable on the phone and you're avoiding that. And maybe that's the thing that you need to be doing to get you on the path and to start fulfilling the success that you're after. And so ask yourself, this kind of goes back to the previous lesson here. If you can take a day to reflect, like, what is it that you're avoiding? And it might not just be work related, might not just be storage related. This goes to all areas of your life, your spiritual, mental, physical, your relationships. And the thing is, and we'll talk more about this in lesson number 4, but these actually all tie together. So guess what happens if you avoid your physical health? Well, you lose more confidence, you feel worse, you're more likely to die sooner, you don't have the energy or the motivation or the momentum to show up. What struggles as a result of that? Your business will struggle as a result of that. Same thing with your relationships. If your relationships are struggling because you're neglecting them, that's also going to play a role into your business. And so all of these things tie in together. We'll talk more about that in lesson number 4. But ask yourself, what am I neglecting right now? What needs more of my attention? This is honestly a big one. And I think oftentimes we kind of get so focused on like the business aspect. Like if we say, hey, I have a goal, which is to be financially free, and therefore I know that I need more storage deals. And that's their goal. But where most people maybe move a little bit slower or prevent themselves from reaching that goal is they don't realize that there's so many other layers beneath that. And that's the type of work you need to be focused on: mental, physical, spiritual, your relationships, and all of these start to play into your business as well. So think about it this way: as you elevate yourself, your business isn't going to stay down here, because as you grow, your business naturally grows with you. And oftentimes people think that they need to grow their business and create all of the wealth first. And then once they have that, they'll be able to have these things over here. They'll feel more fulfilled. They'll have more energy. They'll feel more confident. It doesn't actually work that way. That's why we see people who have reached extreme levels of success still feeling the same way about themselves. And so therefore they tell themselves, well, I guess I haven't made it yet because I still feel like I did before. And so they just look for more things in their business to achieve, when in reality, you need to work on the personal stuff first. And once you can nail that down, the business side of things seems to move a lot faster and be ultimately a lot easier. Number 3 here, this is related to obstacles. And so there's really 2 types of people, and you've probably seen investors here in the Storage Rebellion who move really quickly. They seems like money and deals just seem to fall on their lap. It doesn't really seem like they face the same issues as you do. And maybe you're over here, or I should say there's another group of people on this other path where it seems like they're facing more obstacles. They're moving a lot slower, and it's like, what am I doing wrong? Why are they moving so quickly? One of the reasons for that is related to perceived obstacles. So an obstacle is only an obstacle if you perceive it to be an obstacle. And you might say, well, no, Chris, I'm dealing with this issue with an attorney. That's a real obstacle. So here's the thing. We perceive things to be obstacles when we do not have a creative solution to resolve them. If we do not have a creative solution to resolve it, it feels like an obstacle. Therefore, it takes up mental space and energy. You move slower. And in fact, sometimes you talk yourself out of opportunities simply because you don't know how to handle it. And therefore, you enter into your emotional brain and you start acting out of fight or flight. And I've done this in the past, and this is a real thing where you can actually start listening to the wrong voices in your head simply because you haven't uncovered enough creative solutions to resolve the problems that you're facing. And so, when we see high achievers who seem to be moving really quickly, they have an abundance of resources and knowledge, and they're in the right environment to where even if they're facing a problem that they haven't faced yet, they have people to lean on where they can just resolve it and keep moving forward. It's not taking up mental space and mental energy. And oftentimes, both sides, both paths are facing a lot of the same issues. But the person over here doesn't perceive them to be issues or obstacles because they have enough resources and solutions to solve them. And so they can move a lot faster. So it's only an obstacle if you perceive it to be an obstacle because you don't have a creative solution to resolve it. So how do we get more creative solutions? We need to get more educated, and we need to get ourselves in the right environment and start surrounding ourselves with high achievers who have walked this path already. That will speed up this process and make things just like Scott Spear when I was talking about earlier, right? Like Scott knows self-storage. He's done this over 30 plus times. He's made millions of dollars, and he's still learning things because he's in the right environment. That's why during that one retreat, over a simple conversation by a fire pit, he saved himself $60,000, right? And so these are the things we need to be paying attention to. The fourth one, and then we're going to wrap things up here. Hopefully this is helpful for you guys. Let me know in the chat box. The fourth one is routine, habits, and structure. You guys have heard me talk a lot in the past about habits. And this is some of the most important stuff because this is what's going to set you up for success each day. This is going to be your foundation. So think about it this way. If hypothetical, you asked me, you said, hey, Chris, what are your goals for the next 3 years? And I said, well, over the next 3 years, I want to make $5 million. And you said, okay, great. What are you doing to achieve that? And I said, okay, well, today's Friday. On Monday, I sent out about 8 or 10 mailers. Tuesday, I made a couple cold calls. Wednesday, I took a break. I worked out, so I took care of my physical health. Thursday, yesterday, I sent out a few more letters. Does that sound like a $5 million plan? Like, does that sound like the plan that's going to make $5 million? We need more routine and structure, and we need to design both our day and our lives to both serve us personally on our spiritual, physical, mental side, so that we can then show up in our business on a higher level. But we also need routine and habits and structure around the business as well. We need to have a routine where it's like, on these days, this is what's getting done. And we need to reverse engineer our goals and look at, well, if this is the goal up here, realistically, what do I need to do to fulfill that goal? How do I need to be showing up each day to fulfill that goal? Who do I need to be surrounding myself with? What new things don't I know that I need to know to fulfill that? And how can I put myself in a position to start living that life now? In other words, becoming that type of person now. Because if your goal is to make X amount of millions of dollars, you're not going to become a millionaire. Well, let me rephrase that. You need to identify what type of person is required to be that type of person, and be that person now. And as a result of embodying that and showing up in that way and having those types of habits and routines and structure, the money's going to come almost effortlessly, because you're the type of person required to have and succeed in those areas. Again, these are I've worked with quite a few people on this specific stuff. So if this is something you want to dive into and you want to have a phone call and just look at what it is you're doing and lay it out in a way where it makes it easy and repeatable, so that we can get you on path to fulfilling the goals that you're after, just let me know. I'm happy to work with you on that. Anthony Kusky, good to see you. Great info. I appreciate that. Guys, that's all I have for you today. Hopefully these 4 tips were helpful for you. I'm always happy to dive further into them if needed. Look forward to doing this again with you guys. Have a great weekend. Hopefully you guys had a great week. I enjoyed this, and look forward to seeing you guys again soon. Take care, everyone.